They finally did it. The huge patch for Battlefield 6, which we were supposed to receive during the release of Battlefield 6 Season 1, is finally live. And it contains so many fixes I don't know where to start. Leave a like and a subscription if you're still following Battlefield 6 and you want to support a small creator. Now let's get into it. The long-awaited fix for the rooftop exploit where you could hit the drone with your sledgehammer to get on unintended places has now been finally fixed. Guys, I cannot stress enough how big of a game-breaking bug this was. It really ruined the flow of many maps, basically on all game modes, though mostly on Breakthrough and Conquest. Still, you would feel this basically everywhere. Now for the first time since ever basically, because also in Battlefield 6 Open Beta we had rooftop exploits, we can actually experience how these maps are intended to be played. So New Sobek City, Miracle Valley, Siege of Cairo, all these maps are about to change greatly when it comes down to the map flow. Now that everybody has to play kinda on the ground and actually use the intended routes the developer planned for the players to be using, now we can actually judge the maps finally. I was always a little bit reluctant to judge all the maps, how they feel, how they're supposed to be played when we had such a game-breaking thing, which was altering, of course, how the map played and felt on basically every game mode. So now finally this is fixed. Rejoice. The next couple of bugs were also really annoying. The first one was where the lock-on guided missiles did not get countered as expected when met with enemy countermeasures such as flares. This is gone. If you're a pilot, you can finally play the game. Hooray. The other issue that was fixed, which was annoying me personally, was that vehicles sometimes just didn't spawn correctly in Breakthrough and Conquest. You're kind of waiting for a vehicle to spawn on a flag, for example, let's say Bravo on Conquest on Liberation Peak, and your tank never spawns. But the enemy vehicles still often sometimes spawned, which left you and your team at the disadvantage of not having one extra tank, which sucked. This is also fixed. I'm very happy about that, thank God. The next things which were addressed were the progression, audio, UI issues, improving overall clarity of the game, reliability, and immersion. This all sounds great. I would have loved if maybe they provided detail what exactly they did to clarity, reliability, and immersion, but I guess the people on social media are gonna dig it up fast, and if it's something really important, then I'll make a separate video addressing just those fixes from that section. From those, however, I believe that audio is probably the biggest problem, at least from my experience. Sometimes I just cannot hear people who are next to me, people who are like door charging into my building, into my room, and killing me and my squadmates from behind. We just don't hear it. I feel like I'm blind and deaf when I play Battlefield 6, so I'm hoping some of that audio has been addressed. It feels like there's no footstep audio in Battlefield 6 either. Your teammates' footsteps always seem to be louder than those of the enemies, which is, I think, just bizarre. Something probably went wrong with the audio mix of the game on that final compile for the launch build, and I guess they didn't have anybody to test it with properly. You really need to have some very trained ears to understand how to use sound correctly. I'm not asking here just to be sound whoring over the walls and then use that to my advantage. I just want to hear when people are behind me, when it's very obvious that I should be hearing that they're behind me. Some of the animations as well for like rappelling up buildings are also straight up missing. If you ever played Manhattan Bridge, like on the rooftop, if you were defending on Breakthrough, for example, sometimes the attackers would use those zip lines which are positioned below the rooftops and you could never hear them. At least I couldn't. So I don't know if either I'm deaf or the game is broken, but considering many people are complaining that the audio in Battlefield 6 has been rather lackluster, I'm guessing it's not just me. Did you have problems with audio in Battlefield 6 or not? Please let me know down in the comment section, and then we can actually check how many of us had problems and how many didn't. Moving on to movement and gunplay fixes, fixed an issue where dispersion would be higher than intended when going from sprint to firing in ADS. Oh my god, finally they fixed this bug. This bug has been plaguing Battlefield 6 since Battlefield Lab, as far as I'm aware. Basically what was happening here is that sometimes when you would stop to fire your weapon and you were sprinting, you would retain your hip fire accuracy rather than assuming your ADS accuracy. Of course, it would depend how big your ADS accuracy is, depending on the weapon you're using and how you build it. So if you have, let's say, 60 precision, now you will assume 60 precision in ADS as soon as you stop sprinting and start firing in ADS. This is a huge fix for the consistency in gunplay and movement. Now your weapons should feel a little better when you use them to run and gun around the maps, which is amazing. The second issue was that dispersion would incorrectly scale with movement speed and always assume the player is moving at maximum movement speed for the stance. This was a bizarre bug. I'm glad it fixed. The next fix, however, is the biggest fix when it comes down to movement and gunplay, and I believe it's gonna change Battlefield 6 pretty greatly. Tune landing animation to reduce excessive camera and weapon movement when aiming down sights, improving visual stability during and after landing. This update also resolves instances where the ADS aim could be displaced when sliding. So what is happening here is they're reducing the weapon sway and all the camera shake, which would happen when you would jump, for example, in the air, when you would slide, or when you would slide and then enter a jump after the slide. Now everything should be a bit more consistent, and basically they're nerfing all of the negatives you would receive from, this visual clutter on the screen when you would try to use any movement options in Battlefield 6, of which there aren't many currently. They want to make sure that those that they do have are gonna feel a little bit better to use. So expect to see more people sliding into corner to try to ADS and beam you, expect more jump shooting and so on. In my opinion, I'm somebody who does like movement. This is good for me. If you hate movement, maybe this is a bad thing for you. Just voice your opinions in the comment section and then we can have a little debate. Why not? I believe this is gonna make it a little bit more consistent for everybody to get used to all the mechanics of Battlefield 6, because what we are playing currently without the patch was just a huge positional game, something like Battlefield 1. And now we're gonna play it a little bit faster, something maybe like BF3 and BF4, at least I'm hoping. I always ask myself, considering we have many developers from Battlefield 5 working on Battlefield 6, in my opinion, Battlefield 5 did movement and gunplay to an extent, though a little bit less than the movement in that game, almost perfectly. The movement felt very good to use, from sliding, from mantling, to jump shooting and all the other mechanics you can do in Battlefield 5, while keeping the game still very grounded feeling. Everything felt, in my opinion, super heavy. It didn't feel floaty like in Battlefield 2042, and it does kind of feel floaty in Battlefield 6 as well. So I never understood why they didn't just look towards Battlefield 5 and somehow introduce that type of system into Battlefield 6. For example, Drunks, one of the developers on Battlefield 6, was the person who was working a lot in Battlefield 5 section for gunplay and movement at the time, so obviously I believe that he should know how it felt in Battlefield 5. Today, when I ask anybody who has played a lot of Battlefield 5, these are one of the few things many people are praising about that game, that it had just very consistent movement and gunplay. So I believe, considering it's their, second oldest game they made recently, so it's a game from 2018, maybe they could look there to really strike a balance between movement and gunplay. Even some of the vehicle mechanics from Battlefield 5 were pretty solid. For example, if you would angle your tank when you would fight another tank, or if you were facing bazookas or Piats or other anti-tank options that the enemy had to fire at you, maybe even the P14 stationary anti-tank gun, sometimes, you would take less damage from the front if you were angling your tank correctly. There were just cool mechanics in Battlefield 5, which weren't super abusive in my opinion, but really added to this, skill gap to the game, which in my opinion meant that there is more attention to the game if there is some type of a skill gap to grind. Moving on to Red Set fixes, fixed an issue where Battle Royale quads matches did not end after the last team was eliminated. I heard about this bug. I'm guessing everybody who is playing the Battlefield 6 Battle Royale is very happy about this fix. So there you go. The next problem was they fixed an issue where being killed immediately after a mobile respawn completed could result in the squad being eliminated instead of reviving remaining teammates. I've seen some pretty funny clips of that as well, so this is fixed too. Fixed an issue where players could become stuck in a top-down view of the map after redeploying, which is nice, and fixed an issue where players retain their second chance after redeploying and did not transition to the end of the round screen after their next elimination. So if you are still enjoying Battlefield 6 RedSec, the BR of the game, now it should feel a bit more consistent to play and a little bit less frustrating. I've also seen footage of people trying to recreate the Battlefield 6 BR map into Conquest Large and Breakthrough, something in Portal. I didn't have a chance to play it myself, but I hope maybe in the next few days DICE also maybe acknowledges that this map exists and maybe somehow tries to introduce it into the regular matchmaking pool, because visually I have to admit the map of the Battlefield Battle Royale looks extremely well polished and looks very nice. Like, it's vibrant colors, it has a lot of cover, it looks like it's ripe for regular, Conquest Large with 10 flags. So maybe that's gonna be the first huge map we get in Battlefield 6. Who knows? Would you like to see this map? As a part of the Veterans Day in the United States and Armistice Day globally, the Battlefield 6 and RedSec in-game store will offer Lead the Way pack for $12 starting November 11th, so today, with insights from the National Ranger Association to ensure authenticity. The pack will be available through the Battlefield store and in-game. So look at the skins for the soldier, the vehicle, and the parachute and the Legacy Strike weapon package and dog tags. This all look freaking sick in my opinion, man. I wish this were like the base skins in the game instead of some of the other cringe ones that try to pass on before Halloween. Those are gone, of course, you know what I mean? But I would like to see more stuff like this. I wish it was Veterans Day every freaking day in Battlefield 6 if we're getting this type of skins in the game. I think I'm gonna grab this pack myself. Trust me, I never buy skins. I didn't even buy the Battle Pass for Battlefield 6. I didn't buy Battle Pass in any game I play. I play a lot of games. This time, I might buy this because I really like the vehicle skin. This ghillie suit looks freaking sick on that Jeep, and the weapon camo as well. I'm actually planning to level M277 in the next few days, so having, a ghillie suit camo looks freaking incredible. On November 18th, so only in 7 days, the California Resistance or the Season 1 Phase 2 is starting, which means we're getting one new official map, which is gonna be Eastwood. We're getting Sabotage new limited time mode. We're getting battle pickups, so this is a brand new feature. I've seen some leaks of it, but I never made a video about it. Basically, what people are saying, this is from China and Russia, so take it as you will. There's gonna be battle pickups from like Battlefield 4. For example, you could pick up useless 12 frags on Operation Locker on Zavod 311. I believe there was a 50 cal sniper on Hainan Resort as well. So it's gonna be this type of battle pickups, which I think are probably gonna add some spice toward some maps. Of course, depends how they are placed. I think the reason these were working decent in Battlefield 4 is because they were placed well around the maps. Then we're getting a new shotgun, DB12. We had it in other Battlefield games. It is a solid shotgun, and we're getting a new revolver, which is great. And then we are getting the Troy angled grip. Hopefully, this is gonna be a grip which is gonna be similar to the angle grip and slim angle, which are the grips, of course, which don't reduce your precision in Battlefield 6. So basically, other than the alloy vertical grip, those are the only useful grips. So hopefully Troy angle grip becomes also one of those useful grips. So along with his bug fixes today and November 18th, we're getting a new map, a mode, and these weapons and the battle pickups. It seems that Battlefield 6 is shaping up to have a pretty solid and promising November, which is good. What I want that happens after the Season 1 has ended, I want that they maybe start reworking some of the maps which are like really problematic in Battlefield 6. Blackville Fields comes to mind, Mirak Valley on some points, like some small tiny map reworks I think would be nice to see, along with the bug fixes and the usual updates we're going to be getting as the part of the live service package we have received with the launch of the game. There are also some small changes to the UI and the progression, but it's nothing relevant, so we are still waiting for the big progression rework they promised 2 weeks ago when they made that community update. So that maybe happens when Phase 2 Season 1 is coming out. Who knows, we're gonna see. And with that being said, that basically wraps up this nice bug fix update we are getting before the launch of California Resistance. If you enjoyed watching this video and you want to support a smaller creator, you want to have build guides, live streams, everything Battlefield 6, and I do mostly only play multiplayer, I'm not a BR type of guy, then I'm truly your creator. Please consider leaving a like for this video and a subscription for future content. I'll see you guys in the next few days. Have a great day. This is Ace signing out, and bye bye.